Hello, my loves. How are you? Today, we're going to talk about the topic of the divine counterpart, twin flame soul merge, also may be referred to as HERIOS, GAMOS, and or the alchemical marriage. And I just want to start out by acknowledging that this is one of the deepest forms of intimacy and energetic exchange that's available to us in my awareness at this time. I'm just going to speak to you about it from my understanding clearly. This is a very deep topic that if it needs to go into other videos, I will certainly do that. And I'm just going to do my best to really talk today about what's happening in this process from kind of the beginning stages. So, at a soul level, whatever masculine and feminine um, counterparts are drawn together in this soul merge, it's because you contracted to do so. And it's like the activation of that contract. And in my understanding, it actually starts to begin in the higher self energies, in the higher realms, in the energetics, quite a bit before it actually starts to come into some form of physical world manifestation. And so the souls are actually merging before it even comes into physicality. And this may start to come into your awareness, or did, if you look in retrospect, through dreams or through experiences ahead of time before you actually encounter one another in the physical world. And you don't have to come into actual physical world contact and see each other face to face necessarily for this process to occur. Although once physical world connection happens, whether it's through the phone or social media or whatever have you, even if you're on the other sides of the world, this soul merge begins to quicken and take shape. So each person or each, counterpart's experience is different. Mine personally was interesting in that I was very aware that it was happening. I was seeing the energetics of it, but at the time I did not fully understand what all of it meant. It's been over years of processing in retrospect. You know how they always say hindsight is 2020, of understanding more of the actual underbelly, the energetics around what's happening. Okay, so in this process, both counterparts are experiencing it. In fact, if you guys have been through this process, you may have noticed that telepathic energies were very intense or awakened. Also, some of the things and signs that happen is literally energetic teleportation, where you can feel one another's energies, um, even if you're not together in that physical space. It will feel like that person is literally with you. Okay. And what is happening at the higher levels, the higher selves, the energetic bodies are beginning to become one. And this is like the why it's called the alchemical marriage, is in a sense where your energies are beginning to merge at the root chakra, and it moves up and emerge throughout all of the chakras. And essentially in an energetic way, you do actually become like one being energetic system for a time. And you will may experience it just like that in the physical world, where this is where a lot of times people experience that love bubble phase, because what's happening is your higher self is actually merging with your physical body, and then you're merging with one another, but your higher selves are really literally like in control. And so you're feeling and experiencing all that gorgeous soul potential that you both are as individuals, but also that third energy that occurs when the two souls connect and combined in that merge, and the heightened creation energy that expands from it. Okay. This is to show you your potential as an individual, but also your potential in a way of aligning with that divine counter partnership. Okay. And the ability to create those energies together. Okay. It amplifies, like, you're each your own gorgeous, beautiful, powerful souls. But when you come together, it amplifies everything, like triple. It's amplified. It's not just 1 + 1 = 2. It's like 1 + 1 = 3, 4, 5, 6. You see what I'm saying? It's exponential potential. It is an exponential expansion of the energies for both parties. Okay. Because what's happening is you're exchanging that information that you each have within your own DNA and your energetic bodies. All of your soul wisdom is in a pure, complete exchange. So it's kind of like, imagine you have a computer that has a whole library database of everything that's ever happened on planet Earth. And then someone else has a computer with a database of everything that's ever happened in um, our solar system. Okay. Just using this as an example. And now what they do is basically plug it into each other's information and exchange that download. So the person who had all of the Earth information now has the Earth information and the solar system information. And the person who had the solar system information now has all of that extra Earth information. So you're doubling your information, you're doubling your potential, and like I said, even more than doubling it. But that is why it's so unbelievably gorgeous, but it's also why we get on overload and we go into those phases or stages known as the physical world separation, because this is the time in the space where each counterpart has to process all of this new information that they've received, number one. And then number two, they're also clearing out, dissolving, and unraveling the misinformation and the distortion in the systems that actually keeps them from being able to connect in the more full, direct, pristine ways. So that, bringing it back to the computer analogy, it's like if the Earth computer and the solar system computer both had viruses in them, okay? And when they exchanged that information, they became aware all of a sudden of the viruses. They didn't even know those viruses were on their program until they exchanged. And then each party became aware of, like, oh my gosh, that was a block. That was where I didn't believe I could receive love. There's where I was self betraying and didn't feel good enough. And all of a sudden, not only has the information doubled for each or tripled, but now it's like, oh my gosh, there's this extra information of where I was blocked or limiting myself within my own system. So now that's where the cleanup party begins. Okay. You start to extract the so-called viruses. Sometimes we're literally doing that within our physical bodies. If you watch my purification process video, it really does even get down to those physical world viruses being the energetic mirror to the distorted programming that we're carrying around love, self-love, unconditional love. Okay, I'll drop that in the comments for you guys if you want to watch that. But so as we're going through this process, it's interesting because the counterparts are not maybe together in the physical world. They might not even be in communication, but at a soul level, at the energetic level, they're still in an energetic merge. They're still merged at the energy levels. And so that's why they will still feel those energies of the push and the pull. It's why they will still feel the energies of wanting to run or wanting to chase or feeling so much confusion around, I'm just trying to move on. Why is this person still in my mind or in my thoughts? Well, because they're still in a form of that alchemical marriage energetic union, because those agreements or those energies were exchanged to encourage and initiate and activate both parties to go through the discomfort of the process. It ignites and inspires them to go and do their deeper healing and clearing and unraveling so that they can actually embody who they truly are into their physical bodies so that they can sustain all of that gorgeous higher energy and power of who they are as individuals, but also at a soul level, if they choose to come back into physical world union, working together in those original initial gorgeous energies and being able to sustain and maintain those in their physical lives, working together, co-creating together. You see what I mean? But there's this process, this soul merge is what kind of, what is that word, that it's like it's, it brings the souls together. I don't want to say it's a binding because it's not a binding in that one is forcing the other to be a part of it. That's why it's like an alchemical marriage. Both parties chose to partake in this process. Okay, it's a shared agreement and it's directed by the highest source. In my opinion, this is how I feel. And that's why we're guided to surrender to that higher power's will, to our higher self, to the highest creator, to God, to be the one to really support us and lead us in these connections versus the old programming of us thinking that we have to control it and figure it out. Okay. It's a tremendous process of growth. It pushes us into becoming who we've always been capable of being. That's why you both chose this at a soul level. Okay. Very advanced souls have chosen this path. All right. And so it's a deep process, and the souls continue to be in a state of merge at the higher levels throughout the entire process, regardless of what's happening in the physical world. They're co creating the processes, the lessons, the experiences that are necessary in order for their human selves to learn, integrate, and understand the messages and energy and in the way their higher selves are wanting them to learn to embody all of who they are. Okay. And the activation and the initiation that was provided from that energetic merge is what supports both of them in this transformational process of stepping into those beautiful abilities. Okay. So it feels very important to acknowledge that even though there's those states and those moments and times of the runner chaser, in the true core essence, at the soul level, they're just being divine mirrors to one another. No one has trapped either into this scenario. And if you are concerned about that in any way, shape, or form, this is where you start to ask to dissolve any distortion. You start to ask for the truth. You ask for the truth and surrender it to the highest power, to source, to God, to creator, however you connect. And as time goes on, you will gain the clarity of who this person is to you. Was it just an old karmic contract that needed to get cleaned up? Or was it a HERIOS, GAMOS, divinely guided partnership energy meant to catapult you into these inner union states? Okay. And as I said that, it made me want to touch on the other part of feeling like why sometimes there's also other energies that draw us to other connections with other people. They might not be the same level of intensity that you experience in the soul merge with a divine counterpart, but you may, if you're energetically aware and sensitive, have experienced being drawn together with other souls very intensely. And it can feel sometimes a little bit similar for a time, but the difference you will know if you're uncertain is that when you ask for the truth and you ask for it to unravel and dissolve, as the lessons are learned, you may find that that energetic magnetism with those other people diminishes. And once there's no more work left or no more karma left within the connection, it'll just fade away into like a neutral type of energy. Okay. So that's how you'll know the difference. And if it's still someone that after doing your work that you're still feeling that soul connection with, chances are that this is a sign and a signal that it's potentially a twin flame divine counterpart energy. Okay. And with that said, I do feel guided right now to kind of talk about this term of twin flame, which is fascinating to me because twin flame, in and of itself, to me, from an energetic standpoint, signifies that moment of HERIOS GAMOS, of how that they are activating one another. And the flame is like the ignition that incites this purification process. And so you have this flame of purification and transmutation that's been ignited by this soul merge within this connection. Okay. And as it starts to burn away and clear away these old distorted energies, that flame may shift into what my higher self told me is like a twin ray energy, where your chakras are more clear and more aligned and more in almost like a rainbow portal type of energy because you've cleared out so much of the distortion. So the twin flame initiation is around clearing the distortion. I don't believe we were meant to just sit into this twin flame energy and essence as we've been told. I believe it's there to ignite us and support us in continuing our growth forward outside of just this twin flame initiation and moving us into the inner union and outer union energies. Okay. And if you like to have a name or an idea, it's like evolving into a twin flame or a rainbow ray energy. And I'm sharing that to you because when I was deep in that transformational process, I just felt like there was more to it. I did. I felt like it was more than just this runner chaser mirroring energy. I felt deeply that it had a larger purpose. And at the time, I wasn't really finding much information around that. And so I started really connecting and asking for higher guidance. And that's some of the information that I received, and I found it helpful for me because it gave me something to attain, something to strive for, rather than just circling in this idea of the runner chaser or neutralizing it. It was like, oh, there is a bigger purpose. This is early on in my process. Okay, love. So I've grown and learned a lot since then, but I just feel guided to share it for whatever reason because it was helpful to understand that the twin flame divine counterpart soul merge initiation is that it's an initiation that's meant to spark you to expand beyond it. Okay. All right. I hope this was helpful. I feel like it was quite a bit. I think and feel that there's definitely more I could speak on about this topic. So if you're interested in more or if you have specific questions, feel free to drop those in the comments. Okay, loves. I really hope this was helpful and I look forward to talking to you soon. All right. Love you. Bye.